Today's matchup, SK Telecom T1, MVP, beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, LCK Spring 2018. I know it was a long break, but we finally have that matchup you were waiting for. The matchup for all of the marbles. MVP trying to escape relegation, and SKT trying to save themselves and get into that playoffs.
And honestly, both teams have a very clear agenda. If you win, your lives are still on the line. If you lose, it's all over. If SKT lose, they cannot reach 9 match wins. That's where Rox and KSV are already at. So if they don't reach that, they are out of playoffs. If MVP lose, they will move behind BBQ at the bottom of the table due to the fact they will then be out there. So there's a lot going on here between BBQ and MVP. There's a chance here. Depending on the score for MVP, we might be in a very interesting situation, Atlas, between MVP and BBQ. A lot going on in this particular series. BBQ now at the -10.
It may be that if MVP, we haven't actually checked the head-to-head here just yet, so if MVP lose 2-1, then they should be able to actually guarantee themselves. Otherwise, if it's a 0-2 and SKT take the victory, then it could be that MVP are going to go down based on that head-to-head.
So there you go. If SKT wins, we know they are still on the hunt for top 5. If MVP wins, they're going to be able to remain in the LCK. So I believe the game score was incorrect in our first schedule, judging by what I was looking at. So that means that MVP have to win, but so do SKT. SKT still play Kongnu Monster, so they are in a great spot to go through. Looking at the results, if SKT win both, they need to win at least one of them 2-0 because of where game score is at. They own both head-to-head tiebreakers. They have the tiebreaker over KSV and over the Rox Tigers. But for all this to happen and mean something, they cannot have KSV beat Kingzone and Rox beat Jinair, because then they're out anyway. So guys, zoom in on today. All SKT can do is win and win cleanly and hope the other results go their way.
And speaking of results, their last result was a very clean victory. We are going to have a look at the lineup that they brought against KSV, and that was a series that was beautiful from SKT. Finally, we're getting a look at the team that has been so clean in the past, and a team that wants to run another gauntlet.
Absolutely, and it'll be a big story if they were able to do that, but it's looking unlikely, Atlas, based on the season. But like you mentioned, sample size of the last match, they looked really impressive against KSV. By far too strong for them. It was also the old SKT style. Controlled aggression.
Yeah.
Be running Blank in the jungle. Blank, Tal, and Effort have all been the source of a lot of criticism this season, but together they were able to pick up that win over KSV. So definitely, after that match, you're not messing with the winning formula.
Yeah, also, looking at it, you know, you're not going to bring Antara back into the roster. Blank redeeming himself with his performance against KSV and also some of his solo queue performances. But now over the side of MVP, interesting storyline here is that their last 2 losses were against KT and FLICKR. 2 teams that have been playing very, very well. MVP not finding the wins, but against the top 3, you'd expect it. And they have been able to do some okay things. Taking down the Rox Tigers 2-0 was probably their biggest calling, but that was about 6 matches ago. MVP, there are still chances that they can play spoiler here.
It is a bogey match for SKT too, because remember, MVP at the start of the season, it was 5 straight 2-0 losses. They won their first game and their first series against SKT and started this precipitous fall for SK Telecom T1. So SKT are looking for revenge in multiple different ways on the day. And while they look at MVP and Kongnu Monster and say, we should be beating these teams, there's no guarantees. We know how competitive the LCK is 2 through 9. And MVP do not want to be 9th place team and go down to the relegation tournament.
Yeah, the last showing as well, KSV for MVP, also a victory. So can't help but draw some pretty unsettling conclusions if you're looking at just past results. So I'm just really excited to see what can actually come from this and whether SKT, whether they've truly turned it and that 2-0 versus KSV is something that we can actually rely on. Because, yeah, the bottom lane KDA is certainly leading us in that direction.
Bang is definitely the highest KDA player we have in the LCK at 9.4. He is certainly very, very safe. He's a great cleanup AD carry. He's been their most consistent performer, as FLICKR has had a couple of down games here and there. He is still FLICKR. He had a great series against KSV and against Crown.
Yeah.
He's against Ian, so on paper, it's looking like a great time for SKT to prosper. But I feel like a month ago, we ripped up the papers and said, we don't know where SKT's at. And we've gotten some encouraging results recently as MVP. The recent history, they lost every series since they got to the LCK after being re-promoted in spring of 2016 against SKT. And they lost them all 2-0 until they picked up that big upset win over SKT in the first round robin.
Yeah, and I feel like you just want to be ignoring 2016 and 2017. You want to be looking at 2018 because SKT, a very different beast last year.
Who's you? Because if you're an SKT fan, you want to be ignoring 2018. It's not been a happy time for them. SKT's history can never be denied. But this season, it's all about the current roster. They've gone through so many different iterations. Predictably, though, even though they now have an AD carry sub, Bang's been there the entire time. A lot of people calling for his head after some misfires in the World Final. He's backed up that performance with a great spring 2018. Looking at his champion pool, no surprise on the Ezreal. The only one we don't want to see is the Sivir, because the Sivir is the one that has not worked out for SKT.
Yep, hasn't worked out at all, but you've got 4 victories to nothing for the Xayah, certainly a pick that you want to be taking away from him, and the Varus also a huge one, but these ones are pretty much mainstays on the ban list, and he will probably be going back to one of these champions that doesn't necessarily have as high of a win rate, or something potentially new, as Bang at least has some Kai'Sa in his match history.
We'll refer to it in the pick and ban, but this is a team you ban Xayah against, because Bang has Xayah only. They played Xayah Janna in their last series. Look at some of the matchups in top lane. We're going to talk about Tal, who came back into the roster. He played in their loss a couple of series ago with the blind pick Cassiopeia against BBQ, but he was looking really good in their last series against KSV. I love the Poppy into the Camille, and is definitely very confident on that pick, and Cho'Gath seems to be his safe blind pick. In fact, for both of them, the Cho'Gath priority will be very high, because Gangplank, even after the nerfs, likely to be on the ban list.
Yeah, and you can see ADD, fantastic at being a tank, his damage taken well and truly up there. 800 damage taken per minute. The guy cops a beating. Interesting thing is he's got his Scion 4 times. We always call him the Scion player. Hasn't found a win on it just yet. So we'll see whether the Scion priority is still going to be there. SK Telecom priority definitely still going to be there, as 80% of you voters at home are going to be voting for him. 5.2k is a huge number as well. So everyone getting behind SKT, want them to try and run that gauntlet.
And that's the thing. Every time I tweet about the LCK, every time I talk about playoffs, the fans only want to know one thing, Atlas. What does it mean for SKT? They are the team that everyone knows in Korea, around the world. They are the main stars of the LCK as a league in history because of their dominance. But right now, the history doesn't mean much. And even if they 2-0 both opponents, a KSV upset win over Kingzone, Rox beating Jinair as expected, and SKT doesn't go to the playoffs. They do not control their own destiny, apart from being able to try and find a victory every time they play.
Exactly. Well, they control their own destiny as in making sure they at least still have a chance. Because if they lose here, I mean, it's on them, and they're not going to be making it into the playoffs.
If you lose to one of MVP or Kongdu Monster, you do not deserve to go to playoffs.
Precisely.
You are not going to be there to beat FLICKR and all the other big teams we have. So SKT, all they can do to impress their fans is a clean victory. Job done against KSV. Let's see how they do against MVP.
Well, we are into champion select here. Scion going to be the first ban against MVP. Of course, ADD, Ian, and Max, all with notable performances on the champion, so get rid of it. And the Olaf finally is going to see a ban. We saw him in both of our games in our earlier series.
And we should touch on something you were mentioning earlier. Remember last series, we were talking about why Blank was in the roster, and we said there were rumors that the top 5 at the time jungler, who seemed to play a lot of champions similar to Blank, was Blank. The name is Mobzio, M-O-B-Z-I-O. On the Korean ladder. It's been confirmed to be Blank, so the reason why they've been playing him is because he's been dominating in solo queue, and potentially there was some issues around confidence with Blossom after some of those tough losses. That part is speculation, but on paper, he's been performing very, very well, and was able to translate that finally on the Zac in particular. Both games, it was Zac against KSV. In this game, 1 jungle ban so far in the Olaf. Do they have the latitude to ban away the Zac? Because SKT could go Galio. It could be priority on a lot of other champions. I do love the Xayah ban from MVP. as Bang and Effort played Xayah Janna in their previous series, they're happy to lock in Xayah as a power pick, but still, something has to be left open.
Yeah, it's going to be FLICKR's Azir as well. He's been spamming it in solo queue over the last week, I believe 22 games or something like that. We know FLICKR's Azir is fantastic, but his eye is certainly going to be in making these Sandy Shuffle plays.
You'd imagine Ryze would be the choice from Ian because he's been a pretty good Ryze player in recent memory. The results aren't going to be there in terms of numbers, but Ian's Ryze are definitely going to be a consideration in this matchup unless he has something new to show us. The Syndra, always an outside chance. MVP are going to get a power pick, but beyond this season, remember this team has been way down the bottom. To be 7-1 on anything is a bit of a miracle. Double rainbow going on there. He does get the Sejuani that has been a good luck charm for MVP in a pretty lean season.
Yeah, and they get another power pick here as well. You mentioned the fact that there are so many bans that need to go through. With Jhin now a mainstay, he's been banned in our last 3 games here in the LCK. It is going to mean the Vel'Koz is the one that stays up. Copped a lot of bans actually yesterday, if it comes to mind correctly, but Blank, opportunities on the Zac here as well. Probably happy to take the tank matchup here against the Sejuani.
And it also allows him to keep on this good trainer form on the same champion, the champion he has a world skin for already on the Zac. And it's also a great pick into the Vel'Koz in particular, because he has the long engage range. And basically you see Zac kept flash. The Zac power is going to be undeniable. Varus falls down further than we could ever have imagined after all these targeted bans. But there being no Olaf will always increase the Varus priority. SKT will feel like their birthday came early, getting that in the 3rd round of picks. MVP looking for an answer to what has already been posed. AD carry-wise, Pilot has been on the Caitlyn a lot of games. They have liked the Xayah and the Rakan. Seems like he's going to be considering the Ezreal here. And for the 2-item power spike, they want to be able to fight early.
Yeah, and they should be able to pick themselves up a priority support as well after this, unless SKT is going to focus that area. ADD possibly will be able to get some sort of counter pick on the bottom side, as well as he will have last pick priority. So SKT, what are they going to do to fill out their draft? And firstly, MVP are going to ban away the Camille. Looks like top side is their focus.
Always the chance that MVP counterpick support at the final pick as well if they really need Ezreal.
That's true. They often do that for Max as well.
To have a lot of power, and like you say, Max can be very creative. We're in a meta where range supports are slightly more likely to come after the Aftershock nerfs. We'll hold the point though, where MVP want to go. Again, we imagine safety for ADD. Usually something like the Ornn is a very big pick for them. But SKT have got engage and damage already, so they have a lot of flexibility about where they send the comp.
Yeah, a lot of late game threat at the same time, having the Varus, who scales very, very well, the Zac for all the engage, and then the Azir on top of it. For consistent damage?
What I'd imagine is one of these teams, if they're blind picking top lane to go Cho'Gath, because we've already seen that Cho'Gath is a big pick for both, and Tal looked good on the blind pick Cho'Gath. So I imagine that's going to be very high priority. Could even be banned by SKT. They want to ban something away, and they'll just go for the Ornn. They don't want the team fight guarantee. As if it's a Cho'Gath, then Sejuani is really probably going to be the only true initiator on the side of MVP. But if ADD sees Cho'Gath, he locks in Cho'Gath. That part is very expected. See what the response is from Tal.
Yeah, and also banning away the Fiora meant that it was pretty telegraphed that he was going towards one of these tanks on the top side of the map. It's probably one of the times where you want to pick the Fiora.
And Trundle's available. And of course, Tal or Tuhal in Korean means to lock in Trundle.
Yeah, true.
His name literally means to lock in Trundle. But that would also shift the identity because Varus, Zac, and Azir looks like team fight. They're going to go there anyway and lock in the Trundle. So they're going to go for the laning focused play, waiting on Effort's support pick.
Unless they want some weird Trundle support situation, but Braum does make some sense.
Yep, and it very easily answers the Sejuani and the Ezreal, so you have to like it there. Now they see what SKT's got going. A very nice teamfight core, but also the split push coming through from Tal. So where MVP wants to go, they're going to allow themselves to counterpick support. But they go for a range support in a game so important. Remember, if MVP lose, they're out. Just like if SKT lose, they're out. So the focus here is super high on both sides. You see a lot of tanks. He doesn't go for Thresh. Very interestingly, Thresh is available and can answer specifically the Zac so cleanly. Janna can as well with the Tornado and the Monsoon. But they're going to rely on the team fights and lessen the laning phase a little bit. Janna's presence not the same as a Thresh. They had both options. They go Janna, an old mainstay of Max, who was our first player in Korea to go into the GP10 runes back in the previous patch.
Yeah, exactly.
And go into the Ardent Sensor Rush. Max was the first for the GP10. Very interesting stuff, and SKT playing around a split pusher for the first time in a while.
Yeah, and I can see MVP what they're trying to do as far as getting these team fights to work as well. I mean, after that mid game has gone through, it will be Pilot on his own, and it's an empower the Ian composition. I mean, there is a lot of peel opportunities for this Vel'Koz to try and get everyone away from him.
But do notice that they have doubled down on some teamfight options for the Janna. It doesn't give them another initiator, so they need to play the map very intelligently. Otherwise, Braum puts up the shield, Sejuani's frustrated, and who else is initiating? They don't actually have any other true initiation. So usually you need to have first rotation onto things like the Drake, things like the Baron, or to play specifically around the power spike on the 2-item Ezreal. We're asking for a lot here, whereas it feels like SKT do have the split push advantage and a very balanced comp around it.
Yeah, and as you're talking about the mid lane as well, I mean, yes, the priority pick does go over the side of Ian, but we've always had questions about Ian. His performances look better and better as the split has moved on, but that's better from a situation that hasn't been all that great, and he's now against FLICKR. Is it going to be the FLICKR that we know and love? We'll see as we get into game one.
Well, the MVP loyalists are definitely outnumbered, but not outvoiced, Atlas.
Yeah, I feel like MVP fans actually buy all their tickets for the entire split for like the day they come on offer as well, because there's just always the same group of MVP fans in here. But FLICKR, 5th anniversary, I believe, Papa.
And very interesting. We actually got delivered some of these blue signs you saw on the screen. The date here is the 23rd of March, and the reason why that's significant is it's not Champion Spring 2013, when most people saw the debut of FLICKR solo killing Ambition. This is actually a rewind from that. This is when he made his televised debut for SKT T1 Team 2. I know it's an awkward name, that's what they went with.
Yep.
Against Beggars in the qualifier for Champion Spring. On that day, he played Kayle and Syndra, as they were very out of meta at the time. Kayle was his first ever broadcast professional game. It was on the 23rd, and it was for SKT, so he's still with the squad 5 years later.
And it's interesting because became massively high meta in that year, I believe, by the end. So already trend-setting before he was even televised in English.
Just cool they had the exact date there. Very, very cool to see, as not a lot of people saw that wasn't an English broadcast for that particular qualifier. We're seeing some fighting on every part of the Rift.
Yeah, everyone just smacking on each other. Tal is going to bring it back here as ADD going to lose some of that AD. The Chomp pretty damn good in a 1v1 situation if he's going to run with auto
when
attack.
you skill E level 1, as Huni found out in the LCK final, pretty hard to get the minion wave and do any damage because he can't walk past Trundle.
Yeah.
He's boned actually now.
Yep.
This is really bad for ADD. He's going to have to find a way to the minion wave without taking even more damage.
Does so, actually.
Finally gets there, but it's a lot about minion control now. And Tar walks up. He knows if any more minions die, he's going to hit level 2, and ADD has to pull back again.
And also didn't have any Vorpal spikes remaining because he used it on the minion wave. Didn't actually pick up too many of those creeps
really
as well.
good lane control from Tal, but remember, once again, we'll repeat the point. The correct pronunciation of Tal's name is Tuhal, which means to lock in Trundle. This guy knows his Trundle. He's been able to force ADD into a recall straight up.
That's ridiculous. He's going to teleport back to lane, I believe, after picking up nothing.
I mean, he's got 2 CS, so...
Yeah, he's going to be able to grab a refillable potion, actually, on his way back.
Largely from ambient gold, it should be mentioned. Comes back in, he gets level 2. Great lane control from Tal, who had to be frustrated when Untara was the one playing Trundle, and he was on the bench.
Yeah, didn't get his opportunity.
Now farm on the top side, predictably from the Zac. No jungle attention just yet.
A little bit of extra speed from Beyond, despite the fact that he's taken the Aftershock. And he's going to be heading towards the top side of the map now. We'll see whether he's going to be able to help out ADD, who's probably screaming for a gank.
Seen a lot of support Janna play in recent times against melee supports, where he's obviously very, very happy to be. Interestingly here, what you see from a lot of the Jannas is some real irritation plays. If you play solo queue against Janna, you know she's maxing W and has the Summoner Airy just to pop the W in your face with a targeted ability. Still has Summoner Airy, but it's a lot about just sitting in the brush, getting brush control, and going for max range Qs and trying to get massive damage and poke onto the enemy and disrupt last hits during the laning phase, because unlike with Alistar, a lot of interrupts, as FLICKR rudely interrupts Ian.
Yeah, speaking of which, really good one there as well. Ian not going to get that free back as he expended his health bar and his mana bar in trying to shove that wave forward to try and get priority. Probably wanted to get his tier, which has been a lot of the options. As Beyond might come down here. We'll see whether the slow is going to be enough. No, just going to be able to get a Comet Proc and FLICKR safely under his turret.
He's also mostly there to shepherd the Vel'Koz into clearing the wave and getting a good back timing after being interrupted once.
Yep. Not an opportunity for FLICKR, and he's not going to bite off more than he can chew.
Beyond's being a bro, clearing out the control ward and trying to help ADD have a chance in this lane. At least ADD hasn't used his flash, as Cho'Gath has the rumble problem of pushing and then being ganked very frequently at level 4.
Yeah. I feel like it's Beyond already on damage control, though, at the start of this game. Things going wrong for ADD on the top side of the map. Really good interruption of the back for Ian as well that needed his help. Meant that he couldn't really get too much proactive done. And when a Zac is unharassed, it's a really great sign for the Zac player.
Blank will feel so happy. He was really on point on the Zac, so SKT fans will be happy to see him on Ultra Comfort again on the Zac.
He does have a skin for the champion, and he's wearing it.
Feels good about that, even though he wasn't the starter. It was Bengi in 2016.
Yep.
Throughout the Worlds run. Blank, unfortunately, once again, was a bit up and down. Bengi's Nidalee, never forget.
Yep.
But the most interesting thing about the top lane, given the meta we're in, is this is the last time you really want to buy a Banner of Command, because both these champions, whether it's the AD stacking Trundle or the Feast from the Cho'Gath, have a great answer to the banner minions, so it's very easy for them to contain the usually very effective banner plays.
Yeah. Of course, was more of a last patch thing, but Fake taking a bit of damage here, and Ian is going to miss the W. And that's going to spell the engagement from Blank. Will be able to pull back the Vel'Koz. Already the flash is on cooldown as FLICKR takes a fair bit of damage. The disintegration ray has to come in. That's going to be a good trade back for Ian, but no more summoner spells, and FLICKR has both.
Every time that passive procs, you always wonder about the damage calculation on the Vel'Koz. You see very little in solo queue, and only recently in competitive play. You're completely correct about the summoner trade-up. Now Ian is going to be down both of them.
Okay, Max is going to get knocked up. Has to flash, really respecting the concussive blows as Pilot as well has to move his way out. This lane is so oppressive from SKT.
And also you click your fingers, Atlas, and they have lane control in mid, they have lane control on bottom, and they were already winning in the top side.
Yeah,
so suddenly Zac has a lot of options here when it comes to playing around the Rift. Tal just wants to use his E and annoy the Cho'Gath from the last hits again. There we go.
Doesn't want to give ADD a free freeze up towards the top side. Looks like the minions come in just right at the right time. But this is a problem.
Level 6 on the Sejuani, but ADD's still at level 5. Gets level 6 now, but the all-in on Trundle with Flash. Good luck with that one.
Yep, also has Subjugate available as well, so he's going to be pretty damn tanky, although there isn't too many defensive stats from ADD yet. The ultimate is going to come down, though, and can actually layer the CC is the question. He gets silenced. Subjugate is there as he tries to get the slow. Looking to try and get down. Needs to dodge the Witch's Up, and he does! Tal makes it out. No mana, no nothing, no worries.
This man is the true troll of the top lane. Named himself after it. He gets out. Trundle goes back, and they get an Ocean Drake for free as well.
That is just ridiculous. I thought that maybe the pillar time positioning was going to be a problem, but no. Just wanted the slow, and that was enough.
Never second guess Tal's Trundle. The man knows his way around that champion. You get disadvantage in the bot side as well. Creeping Dread very early in the game for MVP with the 3 lanes with pressure. 3 lanes with summoner advantage as well, and Tal doesn't go down. Tried the diagonal W there, did Beyond, not able to pick up the kill. Good news stories, ecstasy for the SKT fans in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And when your split pusher is this far ahead, that is the absolute dream. And ADD, he's on pure comfort here. The Cho'Gath, easily one of his best picks so far. We're going to see it again. They layered the CC nicely. Things worked out.
The opening from Beyond was great. They even get the Skirmisher Saber onto him, so a lot of damage early. ADD flashes forward, can't get the first auto at the time, and then casually walks straight. Single auto, doesn't take him down. Pressed his potion button, good man, and he's able to get out.
11 HP was the final number there as well. Good lord. Thank you to Joel for getting on Discord and letting us know the exact number of Tal's Great Escape. ADD going to get control of the minion wave at least. But Tal is just roaming around the enemy jungle, having the time of his life.
That's the best thing you can have happen if you have one of these split pushers. Think of Proxy Singed in the past. Get in, you put down some wards, and you get back to lanes. The control ward is going to give a lot of information here if it's not scouted out. the positioning of Beyond in this game, and repeat ganks are definitely a possibility. It looks like it's going to be the Ravenous Hydra, the usual thing we see from the Trundle. Not going to have a high health total till later in the game, so always the outside chance the all-in works onto the Trundle.
The problem is if he keeps getting further and further ahead, once a Ravenous Hydra comes down, that lifesteal may not be gotten through by ADD and Beyond unless they can really keep him CC'd, and you best believe there's going to be some Merc Treads on this Trundle as well. So it's getting more and more worrying here as there's the Chains of Corruption coming down. Really good layering of CC as Max. The Monsoon, is it going to be enough? Nope, because that's going to be the final piercing arrow, and bang, grabs it. Pilot just has to look on as his support is destroyed.
Right timing from Bang, who knows the feel of these Flash Varus plays. Watch Ruler win the World Final. That big play on Varus. Notice that Max has gone heals. It's the old strategy with the Janna.
Yeah, the double defensives.
Yep. Off the heal onto Max, and that allows the barrier for the most selfish healing available for Pilot. Didn't really help the Janna in the way, but no Summoner would have. Goes down in that particular case, and they might lose the turret here as well.
Yeah, True Shot Barrage just unbreakable all too easy. FLICKR's going to move his way out with some shifting sands, but that's going to be that. Ultimate does come down. Blank actually going to try and turn it into some sort of engagement. He's just not taking the damage. ADD comes down, he gets immediately turned on, and Tal's going to pick up the kill. He's in the fight now as well as he's taking so much damage, but the Subjugate, it was running for so long, and now there's a Sun Turret to deal with. FLICKR gets a triple knockback with the Empress Divide. It's a good knock-up. They do manage to take down Effort, but they're still flashing. They're still making the plays, and SKT bloodthirsty in the bottom lane.
You can definitely see the intent. They're super aggressive, but the FLICKR initiation doesn't get them a huge lead. Only ends up being a trade in that particular case. They back away, but SKT clearly are ready to go today. An aggressive mindset, always good to see. And they continue to trade up because they did get the turret.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. And I know that engagement resulted in Effort dying, but still looked damn cool. And it's a sign for things to come here as FLICKR's just going to get stronger and stronger, and these squishies aren't going to be able to deal with an Emperor's Divide like that come the middle of the game.
Take a bit of time to breathe and reassess, because do notice that once again, lane assignments have been altered. Trundle's happy to hit the side lane. First, he's going to take a break and take the Krugs before he gets to the lane. He's happy to put himself in a long lane that Flash will be available in about 30 to 35 seconds time. Bang rotates topside. He's got the Rage Blade. Right now, it's all about setting the pace here from SKT. They have a very strong core of 4, and Tal's in a great spot. Doesn't have Ravenous Hydra because of the short laning phase, but is feeling good. They also know that a lot of Flashes have been on cooldown after the recent fights, and are happy to go for some outnumbered engages. Blank in a great spot. SKT were winning all the standard lanes, and they are also first to rotate and force the counter rotation from MVP.
Yeah. MVP, I wonder whether they were actually counting the flashes as well on the side of SKT, because there's 4 down on SKT and only 1 down on MVP here. Only Pilot actually investing his. They're looking pretty good here for MVP if they want to try and start a fight, but they're going to need to get one on some pretty good ground because things are looking rough for MVP in the lanes.
What do we say they're comp lacked? Fight starting. They only have Sejuani as true engage after going for the Janna for teamfight disengage. That means the starting fights is very, very tricky. They're also behind in tempo on the map pretty severely as well. So
I want a flank from Max for the Monsoon engage.
Just felt like a lot of this from MVP was about timing. It's about 2 items on the Ezreal. They've actually already lost a turret for that as they've been able to double down on the bot lane. The Trundle is winning in a bigger way than we could have imagined, and the items here are purely to try to deal with the Trundle from ADD. Happy to leap in. They're trying again.
Yeah, Blank's looking for it, but not anything to attach his arms to, as there's the Disintegration where he wants Blank, but no, not quite enough. The punishment onto Ian isn't there, but the ultimate on cooldown could potentially be a problem. Bang, stacking up that Rage Blade and destroying Pilot, who really wants that 2-item spike to try and fight what is 1-item power here for Bang.
And in the standard laning phase, you wouldn't see these items, but because of the 2 kills, the Varus in a great spot to out-duel Pilot. Any moment, he just auto-attacks the wave and then can take an all-in option. With the ultimate, or just even an auto-attack if you opt into a trade against Max Stack's Rage Blade Varus. Beyond still able to get some control of his own jungle, but that ward put down ages ago by Tal is still getting so much useful information about the pathing from the Sejuani.
That is the dream early control ward. Doesn't often get checked all that often. It's still going to be there. Blank looking to start off the Rift Herald as Shelly's going to get some attention from SKT.
Chance that MVP looks for the contest, but Disintegration Ray's down. Usually red side Vel'Koz can poke over the wall and do a lot of damage, but with the ult down, much harder to do. SKT also say, screw that, we're going to invest 4 people on it. We'll be Rift Herald to SKT.
They have the opportunity to do that as well. They've got the pushing power on the bottom side of the map, no teleports available from both. Top laners, of course, used them at the same time in the last engagement. 3,000 gold continues to be the lead. Pressure advantage on the top side of the map and in mid lane. But Ian does at least have his summoners back off cooldown again. FLICKR still waiting on that flash. Winter's Bite not going to land. Beyond flashes for the ult, but Bang just moves forward, actually. In goes Blank, actually gets the connection as well, and Bang's going to stack the Rage Blade. Grabs himself another kill. Just perfect timing from Blank.
And Bang moving forward was the answer. Didn't even have to use his flash, and they trade up. It's going to be 3 turrets, you'd think, very, very soon. As FLICKR's getting free autos in the mid lane. Cho'Gath on the roam.
Yeah. And often you'd say, oh, Beyond missed the ultimate, that's bad. But how often do you move forward as a Varus in that situation if there's someone flashing at you? Not often.
That's what happens when you are a top 80 carry, and Bang has been there for the majority of the past 5 years. So he gets the respect, he earns the respect. A great play in that particular case. Prey-esque on his stutter step forward. Holds onto his summoner as well, as Pilot is being punished because they're rotating on a 1-item Ezreal because they have so much power on the 1-item Varus. Then why not go to the lane the Ezreal's in and just try and all-in him and stop him from shopping?
And now Bang doesn't even need to care about dodging out of the way of that ultimate. He picked himself up. A snowballed QSS, has a recurve bow as well, moving towards his wit's end. That 2-item spike, and that means that a lot of the damage that Ian, you were talking about, isn't going to register as much. The other good thing about a QSS is nullifying a lot of that magic damage. And this was a get around and empower Ian-based composition as well. I mean, he was going to be doing a lot of the AoE for this team.
VP's comp largely around timings, but split push comps are too, because if you fall behind in terms of Baron, the impact of a Trundle goes down. So great early game from SKT. It's given them a huge pressure lead around the map. The Vel'Koz into the Azir. That hasn't led to anything. SKT were able to turn on and get those summoners in mid and bot lane at the same time to get complete map control, and they've turned a map control summoner advantage into 2 turrets very early. The Rift Herald also achieved a 5,000 gold lead. This is the SKT their fans have been demanding to see. So far, MVP are second in basically every metric. If they take the wrong fights, they'll only accelerate their own demise.
Yeah, and if they take fights at all, it gives Tal the opportunity to just go all in on ADD as well, and we know that he's now empowered to potentially be able to do that. I think Ravenous Hydra is enough to deal with the Bramble Vest that has been picked up, as ADD just has the thrift shopping, as you like to call it, just not a lot of completed items done just yet. Wants a Thornmail eventually, and I guess a few other items as well. But Ocean Drake is going to be Dragon number 2, probably not the one that SKT really wants.
But Double Ocean at 16 minutes is nothing to shake a stick at. Does give you some good regen. So the first 2 are fine. The Infernal is on the way. Just more happy times. Want to break the outer rung of turrets. Usually 20 minutes with a comp like this is great. Could be earlier than that.
Yeah, Blank is going to waste no time at all trying to get in.
But you have to always update yourself. Go for the objective.
Okay, Kidnap is going to try and get Blank out of there. Now he's going to be safe. Has the passive anyway. And the tower very, very low. One objective that they really want. Airy going to be delivered to Bang, who didn't quite get hit by the Mystic Shot. Didn't have enough range.
Not a lot of threat onto Bang, because they don't have someone like a Zac. When it comes to backline threat, they don't have it, Atlas. We have to keep remembering that.
Well, he's got a lot of threat himself. There's a Chains of Corruption. It's going to be Effort. It's going to be able to pick up the damage, but it meant a flash out from Bang.
Again, you look at the MVP bans, and you think everything was there, but leaving the Zac open is going to prove to be a real thorn in their side. They're allowing Blank to continue to play himself onto form. On the one champion, he's looked great on this season. 3 games in a row of Zac. He's actually been able to hit the map in a positive way at every moment after having so many struggles on other champions. Played a lot of one-offs because nothing's been working for him. But he's sticking with the Zac. Should definitely be considered as a ban on the blue side, and they have a bit more latitude to do so. But SKT control about 75% of the map right now. The real estate's all with them as ADD has to flash.
Yeah, he has to flash. Are we going to get the connection, though? The Rupture's decent, but that pillar was god level. Not quite as good as a blast cone that gets ADD to safety, thanks to Max being able to activate it for him. Good positioning from the support.
Just add another objective to the war chest of SKT. It will not be a perfect game, but the way they've hit the Rift is again reminiscent of the KSV series, where they seemed prepared, they seemed well-oiled, these 5 players were synergizing well, and Fans are asking, where's Wolf? Of course, one of those famous players for SKT. We thought his shot calling was the reason. He was tried in the jungle. He went back to the support role instead of Effort, who they clearly wanted to be the starter, playing him all the way through the Kesper Cup and in their opening 3 to 4 series. They fell back onto Wolf, but now Effort's out there again. The shot calling has been on point, and I imagine that's pretty diplomatic. All the different faces in the roster. So far, so good for SKT, but not all the work is done just yet.
Yeah. Still going to have to follow it through, but great to see that it wasn't just a one-off thing, because a lot of the teams have sort of had some great performances, you know? It's not necessarily SKT level, but we saw brilliant things from Kongdu earlier on, and then they were disappointing. Have been one-offs, even SKT able to pick up wins here and there when they were slumping. KSV win wasn't enough to really get all of our confidence, but if they're able to dispatch MVP in the way that we're watching right now, looks pretty damn good. Moving into the Kongdu Monster Series, which will still have a lot on the line, even though it doesn't feel like as good competition.
I think Ian should consider going for Void Staff and a Haunting Guys in this particular game. There was also a good argument for the Oblivion Orb. So there's a lot of things to consider here if you're the Vel'Koz. Cutting the healing from the Trundle and the Zac for the eventual team fight that they did draft for, so they are drafted for 5v5s as MVP, is smart. The Haunting Guys for all that damage over time, the 10% amp over 5 seconds. We're probably going to see long fights. We're against 3 tanks if you're MVP. And Haunting Guys is a really interesting item. I spoke about this a couple of days ago, but it went from being 15 Magic Pen in the early game, a very early game focused item, but before Magic Resist came in, until a damage amp that's better in the late game because 10% damage over a long fight. That's what we're going to see this game, long fights. Haunting Guys at some point, Morellonomicon, there's so many things to build, and sadly, just not enough gold yet for the side of MVP.
Yeah, exactly. He just wants everything. Morellonomicon's going to be so important for the Zac and the Trundle if Tal's ever in a team fight. So you got SKT, they're just getting the Baron control. Thankfully, there's a cheeky little ward in the back of the pit that Blank is now going to deal with. Pretty frustrating that he has to get over there, but sets up a zombie ward for himself, so gets some extra value.
They have a lot of face checkers on the side of SKT, so they can put down the vision to start up the Baron eventually. They have a lot of duo Baron options, because Azir and Varus are both great Baron damage dealers. Also looking for a face check, which, for now at least, they're not getting.
Yeah, not going to find the knock-up here as well, as Unbreakable comes down. SKT get the information that they want. This good Arctic Assault is going to interrupt Blank, who can't quite get the stretch. Armstrong takes a lot of damage here as well. Disintegration Ray in a corridor is fantastic, but Blank once again just limps away as the tiny little blob.
But still, they don't get the passive. Remember, there's no Warmogs yet for the Zac, and the Warmog's healing needs 7,000 health. He's around 2,300, so that's going to take time. Red side Vel'Koz is a great delay tool against the Baron, and you see it again. For now, at least, SKT need to be more creative. They actually need to register that pick. They almost got a Max getting his flash away to get the vision down and start the Baron. Because when it comes to the easy objectives, they're already done with those.
Yeah, they've sorted that one out. Inner turrets are going to be a little bit more difficult if MVP can get the rotations down. They've got a lot of wave clear to help things out, especially from Ian.
Just need a second item on Ian. It's the big problem right now. They're down 5,000 gold. It's understandable that some of these builds have to be patchwork, but Ian being only one item is a pretty significant problem. Given how long he's sitting on the Blasting Wand and the Amp, it's probably going to be Void Staff, so he can DPS the Trundle and Zac. He's not getting to the backline just yet, and it is a Wits End Varus. So a lot of magic resist already stacked on the side of SKT, so magic penetration probably needs to be the first thing.
Yeah, that one's in a premium. Do like the option, but still unable to grab it just yet, despite the fact that he's been hoovering up minion waves behind 44 CS. FLICKR has been farming very, very well. Looking over his side, Morellonomicon already done. And there's the Nashor's Tooth. We'll see what that needlessly large rod is going to be built into. I have a feeling it's just going to be a death cap. He's just going to do heaps and heaps of damage.
MVP so scared of the Trundle because the Pillar could definitely put them in a desperate spot. Drake stays leashed for a long time.
Speaking of desperate spot, Beyond, he's going to be tagged by the Winter's Bite. This could provide them with enough opportunities to just get in here and take this Infernal Drake. Will be the third dragon of the game as in goes Blank now. Disintegration Ray over the wall though. Stahl has to flash to get himself out of there. The dragon is going to releash, and that's just MVP getting a free pick.
They get the free pick onto Effort. So much damage over the wall. Great terrain for the Vel'Koz to fight in. The threat of the Smite Steel is not gone as we watch this feast available. Doesn't need it. MVP get it. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the delay around Baron. Same story around the Drake, although Baron is up and SKT are on the way.
Yeah, absolutely no vision available in there because the control
MVP
ward's on top of it.
understand this soon.
Yeah, well, they were pinging onto the Baron. I have a feeling that they know. Look at all of the pings. They're everywhere. ADD's got teleport available, but no mana. And yep, there's the Baron. It's just going to get taken. No opportunities for them to respond.
One great move by MVP, but then they give SKT too much respect, or maybe even not enough respect, because they don't put in the fact that they already had control vision over the Baron. The Varus, the Azir, and the Smite are all alive. SKT train onto the Baron. They trade up in a big way.
Just huge. Now Tali's going to be building towards what could be an Iceborne Gauntlet, or potentially, if he wants to go Ultra Respect, pick up a Frozen Heart, which could still work against the Cho'Gath in lane, theoretically, because he does like to get those auto attacks off.
Tal's role in teamfights is actually a little bit more complex than other Trundles, because Trundle's usually a split push. We don't actually talk about teamfight Trundle that much. He knows who he wants to contaminate. He knows he wants to ult onto the Cho'Gath. That part is simple. The first pillar is for catch. The second pillar might actually be needed to interrupt the life form disintegration rate from the Vel'Koz, because the only other ranged interrupt they have is Blank getting in there with his face on the Zac, so they don't actually have a lot of ways to interrupt the Vel'Koz. This Vel'Koz doesn't have a lot of items, but he's doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, unless FLICKR can get in amongst it. Of course, a good answer is just to Shurima shuffle him. And that would also stop the disintegration rate from doing too much. Blank going to look for another tower dive as he jumps forward. We're not going to find too much, but there's the kidnap. They just explode Max as he's delivered to the backline. Effort even going to survive as the disintegration rate isn't enough. No, we've got so many limping away from Ian this game. And that's going to be SKT trading up, grabbing everything as the Inner fell bot lane as well.
Yeah, rinse and repeat each time. It has been the initiation on MVP, a single catch, and then Ian almost taking someone out. Summoners have to be used each time. This time, effort is other summoners. Maybe he will fall down next time. But SKT still have that map control, and it's most felt when you look at the CS numbers here, because you see that Trundle's 40 ahead. That part makes sense. The Azir's ahead. The AD carries ahead. Everyone's ahead. And there's minions that MVP just haven't gotten. They've died to turrets. We watch the replay. Vel'Koz gets to this pretty late. While he does a lot of damage on the back end, not enough to actually take down SKT. But if you start adding up the numbers, 40 in the top lane, 60 in the mid lane, it's already talking about 100, another 25. There's about 150 CS that MVP have just lost to turrets because SKT have controlled the map, denied access to minion waves as early as level 1 when the Trundle was proxying the Cho'Gath from even hitting the first minion wave. And that is a big reason that they find themselves 9,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, and also just can't be in the other minion waves because they have to be answering the pressure that SKT is putting on. Man advantages here. I mean, Bang's feeling safe enough just to wander down the top lane towards the inner turret, and there's nothing that MVP can do. Effort playing super far up, keeping his AD carry completely safe as he obliterates this tower in seconds.
Ended up being the Leandri's first from the Vel'Koz. No Void Staff yet. The Void Staff's going to be delayed as looking onto FLICKR. He gets away.
Yeah, gets slowed, but not going to worry about the ult actually hitting here. Some geometry being done by Ian, but not going to be effective as Tal. He is going for the Frozen Heart, but you can see he doesn't need any help doing enough damage to ADD.
There's no way for ADD to take him down. Too easy, too much lifesteal as the minions die with the King's Tribute.
Yep. And there's even more damage being done. The solo lane is just soloing down the bot lane and the mid lane respectively. And you've got the bottom lane just hanging out here. Blank could be anywhere on the map because MVP's vision is almost non-existent. SKT, this is suffocation. This is the SKT that we've grown used to over so many years. Revisited here in 2018, finally.
They couldn't have RSVP'd any later, but they are looking like a team that could do work in the playoffs as of their last series against KSV and now against MVP. The severe map control. They have literally strangled the life out of MVP in this game. You can tell in terms of the CS numbers especially. They walk up, they're ready to load up. And so far, they got no answer for the Trundle. And in the 4v4, MVP are watching their structures fall as well.
Yep. There's absolutely nothing that they can do about Tal if there's pressure anywhere else on the map. And knowing SKT, there's, in fact, pressure everywhere. FLICKR's hanging out in mid, can always just shifting sands his way out, and is just going to spend the extra time and take down the inhibitor turret. So much gold. 13,000 is going to be almost exactly that margin. 2 kills and an Infernal Drake is all MVP can say for what they've achieved this game. No turrets to 8. SKT It's getting close to a shellacking here, Papa Smithy.
And a Baron buff power play they can be proud of. No Bannon required to make this one happen. Just great map control. The Trundle doing his job after avoiding that gank in the early game. Allowed him to hit his items on time. They roll through. The Trundle's unkillable. And we just feel like SKT is playing with their food a little bit and looking to close it out pre-35 minutes.
Yeah, and that's actually going to be FLICKR going back. He decides to give up on grabbing his Rabadons, just gets a Void Staff outright instead, because he feels like he needs a little bit of that magic penetration. Bilgewater Cutlass means that Bang is going to be heading towards Blade of the Ruin King as item number 4. Pretty standard stuff, but Rapid Fire Cannon was picked up, so not going for any of these mana plays or anything like that, wanting to make sure that he's as safe as possible, respecting Beyond's potential ultimates that can come in, doesn't want to waste the QSS too early in a fight.
It's good for Siege as well.
Exactly.
Extra auto onto a turret, can't be denied. So just a flexible option. Not going to be in Hurricane range in this game, so no need to rush that. He's going for the cost-effective purchase, the most power he can buy at the time. MVP, everything onto Ian, but sadly, a 13,000 gold disadvantage, and 2 true tanks means that I don't think that the science is going to be enough for the Vel'Kars to bring this game back.
Yeah, not going to be able to geometry his way out of this one. FLICKR's just setting up some friends on the top side of the map. He's like, look, the whole team's here. Don't worry about it. The Shifting Sands gets him out of the way. Not a lot of options that Beyond has, as SKT are just infecting the base of MVP. Wherever they move, it's going to be the rest of SKT like liquid around them trying to get the work done. But look, this could be the pick onto Effort. No, he's going to flash out of the way. Oh, Ian, who just feels so robbed. His tile's going to get missed by the Q from Ian as well. Chains of Corruption looking for some extra stuns as FLICKR wants to find some damage. Okay, good pillar comes down as well, as Redemption is going to be there to try and get the heals out for MVP. FLICKR gets out of the way as a teleport going to be invested.
Everett's going to come back. They're trying to close the game. Great interrupt by Tal.
Yep.
Stop that disintegration, taking down his teammate. Only one Nexus turret left for MVP.
Yeah, they're just going to siege it down. Bang is going to get knocked up by the Rupture, but not going to quite find the Tornado, as Bang has to be a little bit careful, but has the heal to keep himself alive. Nexus Turret 2 goes down, and MVP, they're looking to go back to the fountain. They want to turn this one onto game number 2 because SKT was a slaughter in game number 1.
Just great execution, and this whole season we have not seen plays like we've seen from SKT in the previous series and this series. We've seen them win with Blossom, but that wasn't the SKT of yore. That was a new, aggressive, everyone's an initiator SKT, harkening back to Rocks Tigers of 2016, or SKT back in the Judgment Day days way back when in 2013. This is a return to their usual style, but with 3 different players, with Blank finally firming in the lineup, with Tal and Effort, the 2 rookies, to the LCK. Tal, of course, playing at EU last year, filling their roles. No Wolf in the lineup, no problem. They ran the map at MVP. The moment you saw Summoners down in mid and bot, and SKT have 3 pressure lanes, you had to know that SKT were going to win this game.
Yep, also looked beautiful in the split push play as well, making sure that ADD couldn't help out his team at all. Meant that Blank was just happy to take these 4v4 fights over and over again. And count the times that Ian barely missed out on kills so often, but that was because he was put behind early on and could never catch up to item relevance, so that disintegration ray just wasn't quite enough.
No value on the Ezreal either. They tried to make it work, but unfortunately, Ezreal's about timings. There was no time of day for MVP. It's SKT's Rift to rule in game number 1. And if they play like that, they'll beat their opposition this week. And they will also be a new thing to consider in playoffs, because SKT making playoffs was really only about bookkeeping until we saw performances like they did against KSV and now MVP Game 1. And these are the performances SKT fans can embrace.
Yep. KSV can, of course, beat Kingzone on Saturday, and that's going to save them as well. But SKT looking brilliant this game. They're going to need a 2-0. They want as many wins as possible. We are going to have that game number 2 right after a very short break, guys, so don't go anywhere.